Light Yagami ain't no god, he ain't no genius, and he ain't no savior. All Light is a chimp with a machine gun, and I am dead serious. I love Death Note. I love it. Light is one of my favorite characters of all time. He's insanely entertaining to watch, he's extremely well written, and he's simply doted. But even though I love him, I am not ignorant to the fact that he was evil. He never did anything he did for the betterment of humanity. All he wanted was to be worshipped and reign over his new world. He was always driven by his extreme god complex that ironically ended up being the most human thing about him. But before we get to his ultimate failure as god, we have to talk about how the odds were not only skewed towards him, but weighed down with Sisyphus' boulder. Number 1. The unfair game. Light started out with the greatest advantage of all. He was not only handed a notebook of death, but the entire rulebook of the game L and he were about to play, while L got nothing. L had to prove to the world that magic exists. Meanwhile, Light was simply writing names in his room. And L's gay. Not only that, but Light itself was constantly on Light's side. The most notable examples include Misa's entire existence. Light is extremely lucky that not only is there a second Death Note user, but also one that took the Shinigami Eyes deal and is madly in love with and devoted to him. Not to mention the Shinigami that follows Misa, Rem, is in love with her and is willing to be a pawn for Light just to save her. Ryu's existence. As much as Ryu likes to pretend that he doesn't take sides, he often does take one by, for example, informing Light that an FBI agent is following him, as well as finding all the cameras that were placed in the house for Light. Light goes to the station to bring his father some new clothes, and by a hair of the universe's ass, he somehow ends up there at the exact same time that Naomi does, allowing him to kill her when she was about to give very destructive information on the Kira case. Even with such insane luck though, Light still makes the dumbest mistakes. And not even once or twice, but over and over again. Number 2. Light's constant blunders. Light commits countless mistakes over the course of the series, and we have to start with the one that almost everyone can agree is his biggest, killing Ellen Taylor, which not only proved Kira is real, but allowed L to narrow his location down from the entire world to the Kanto region of Japan, as well as gave L the confirmation that he's not playing against a god or an extra celestial being, but an emotional human being that allows themselves to be provoked. School killing schedule. Light in the beginning killed criminals only after school, which is a big mistake in itself, but it is manageable. The real blunder was what he did right after L noticed this. He immediately changed his killing schedule, which may seem like a good idea at the surface level, but was in reality a humongous blunder. This not only confirmed to L that Light probably is a student, since the timer was just too perfect, but most notably told L that Light had insider police info, which meant he has at least some kind of connection to the police. Killing Ray Penber. Light took a completely unnecessary and avoidable risk by killing Ray, who not only already cleared him as a suspect, but was literally just investigating him. Killing him and all the other FBI agents that came to Japan right after being investigated by one was foolish and was literally the reason why L put Light's home under extreme surveillance. Finally, trusting Mikami. Light in the second half of the anime got so lucky and sloppy that he was willing to trust an unstable Kira follower to execute his will. What he failed to predict was that because Mikami literally loved Light, he would try to predict what Light wanted and do it himself. Most notably when he tried to kill Takada at the same time as Light. To do so he had to go to the deposit box, which Kira of course anticipated he would do, exposing their operation. The crime rate. Wait, yes? But the crime rate went down by 70%. Sure, but this lasted only as long as Light was alive. He didn't prepare any backup plan, or any long-term plan for that matter, for his new world to actually stay new after his death. Light isn't stupid, and he probably knew this himself. he just didn't care. Not because he was ignorant, but because he never cared what happened after his death. And that is why all his plans ended up futile, because his true goal was always to rule over the world as a dictator, not save it, which made him commit completely avoidable mistakes. But then you may be asking, well, if I'm hating on Light so much, what should he have done? Well, he should have actually tackled the core roots of crime in our society. Poverty, systems, institutions. If one wanted to change the world with a death note, they should focus on those aspects, not go the easy route of sorting humanity into good and evil and just executing them based on that. That is pointless and doesn't actually change anything in the long game. And who knows, right? Maybe if L saw that Light actually wanted to change the world for the better, they could have teamed up. Basically, I am a person that believes art can be interpreted in millions of ways and none of them would be wrong. But in Death Note's case, I think watching it and concluding that Light was correct in what he did is a misreading of the entire story. That is why I made this video, because Death Note makes a great case of how ego can ruin someone, but a huge part of the fandom still misreads it as a story of a brilliant savior that did what had to be done, when in reality it's a brilliant, bored teenager murdering hundreds of thousands to play God.